wasn't my concern that I had. My concern was that a lot of the changes that we had discussed were not reflected in the document that you sent. So we had a bunch of notes about, for example, what was a reasonable rate of return. We decided, I think most of us discussed that there should not be a government guaranteed profit, right? That's the whole point of capitalism, is that you take a risk and you get a profit if you do well, but to have a government guaranteed one, we didn't think that 2.5% or whatever it was upwards of 2%. Was fair, and that still somehow made it in this document. And so I want to know what else. I think we've tried to go through and look at this, but I'm concerned that the things that we discussed are not actually reflected in your document. They reflect this document seems to reflect your initial proposals, but does not reflect what was discussed by the board members as far as the advice that we would give to the council for considering any changes to the ordinance.
Okay. Although, can I say that ours was a discussion.
Right.
We didn't.
Correct.
We didn't vote on anything.
That's it.
I didn't, on that.
But none
matter,
of that
I didn't-
discussion was reflected here. If you get my, like, none of the sentiments that were expressed by any board members were
I thought
reflected here.
that
It
was
seems
one
to
of the
just
items
reflect
in the
what the
memo.
attorney.
Yes, it
wanted.
was.
Is that, she did address
Yes,
that
I
in the
did.
memo to you guys, that was.
Okay, I think we'll still probably motion to amend it though in this, so that we,
Yeah, because it was addressed in the memo.
I mean, we can take your advice and that's
No,
that,
no,
but
no,
we still want to give ours.
No,
And that's
I heard it.
Okay.
I heard it. I've heard all the meetings.
Okay,
But what I'm saying to you is that I don't have a problem having a one-on-one discussion because it's a confidential memo to have a discussion about it. And then if you decide that's what it is, if you're telling me you read the memo and it's your specific position,
Mhm.
right? Because it's not speaking on behalf of the entire board, I will take all the notes that you have and then.
why didn't that happen before, I guess, is my question. Because there were a lot of things that there seemed to be the board or at least a majority of members of the board expressing sentiment in one direction, and this memo seems to reflect only your position, which others did not take.
Actually, I don't have a position, okay?
I mean,
Excuse me, are you looking at me a certain way to say that you don't believe me?
I'm
Or, I
listening
mean,
to you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay.
You have the floor.
Number one, my job is to provide legal advice, okay? Second thing is that once I provide you with legal advice, we can continue having a discussion.
Okay.
Okay, there in no way, shape or form, was there any motion that was done that something had to be in basically because I was asked to research it. So if you had a different perception of what happened in that conversation, that's okay. But I don't want to be in a situation where you're telling me that something needed to be in there because you told me to put it in
It
there.
was my understanding that the resolution would reflect the discussions that were had and not just the position that.
No, it was a
initially taken.
discussion. It's a discussion.
It is a discussion.
Okay.
It doesn't seem to reflect any of
So
that discussion.
again, I had a memo that I sent to you, and I sent it to each one of the members with confidential memo, referring to the comments that you want to put in here and that you want to discuss and get information on. You're telling me right now that regardless of what this situation is here in the memo that I put in, you still want to put them in there. This is the first time I'm hearing it that you want to have it in there. Okay, I'll make the notes.
The first time we've discussed this in two
No,
different.
we've had a discussion, like we said, there was no motion meaning that you want to have that in
All
there.
right, we'll be
passed.
careful. We'll be careful to make motions.
It's not a
going
matter of
forward.
careful. I just think it's kind of strange that you're coming into the position saying I need to put it in there when I
I'm
left that
saying-
meeting that way.
I'm not saying you have to put it in there. I'm saying I expected I expected this document to reflect the discussions that were had, and it does not seem to reflect those discussions.
Okay, all right.
It seems to be very, very close to what you had initially proposed.
It was not my initial proposals, okay? I have gone through the different versions of this,
Okay.
okay? And so.
Then you can share with us. I'll yield the floor to you, and
No,
you can
no,
share with
no,
us
no,
what has
no, no,
changed.
no. I want to hear from the board members on what items that you that you had an issue with. I'm gonna make a note of it because we had already gone through all the points on 2 meetings now.
Mhm.
Okay, so just tell me the points where you would like to see where you disagree or not, and I'd like to hear from each member, not just you, HP. Thank you.
Are you suggesting that these last 2 meetings that other members have not participated? I do not appreciate that. Thank you.
Well,
The chair has the floor now. Excuse me, the chair has, excuse me, the chair has the
I
floor.
did not
Excuse me, the chair
appreciate
has the
any of
floor.
your
The
tone
chair
in the
has the
beginning of
floor.
this
The
meeting,
chair has
okay?
the floor.
It was very
Chair has the
disrespectful.
floor, ma'am.
It was
The
very
chair has the floor.
disrespectful.
The chair has the floor. At this point, I would like to yield to Lucinda to go over some of the points that I think the board raised last time that we would like to consider for
So
discussion.
we did talk about just and fair return. You had said the memo was confidential.
Confidential attorney-client privilege cannot be discussed. at this
So it means
meeting.
that we can't even discuss.
Well,
the
you can discuss it with
discussion.
me one-on-one or in a situation where there's not a quorum of the rent leveling board, and then we can discuss it. That's why I'm saying to you is that no one from the board had called me to discuss any points of this memo. And I'm coming to this meeting and I'm being told that X, Y, and Z was supposed to be in here. When I was told to research all of this, and I spent a lot of time researching for you guys.
Oh, I'm not denying that.
No, I understand that, but I'm a little struck at how the tone of this meeting's been going. So can you just please tell me the points that you guys disagree with? I'll make a note of it, of what even after you've read the memo. If you want to have discussions about the memo afterwards, I have no problems with that. But just give me the points that you disagree with and what we discussed, because we've gone through a lot of the clauses in the last two meetings.
Well, the challenge for me, at least as relates to this just and fair return piece,
Okay,
is that to discuss it would be to discuss what's in the memo. But we're not
Correct.
allowed to discuss.
Correct.
So now we can't discuss it at the board.
So.
no, you can just tell me if you disagree or not, or what you want, you would like to be in here, in the ordinance.
Because it would be great for us to have a conversation about it, but you're saying. we can't.
No, but obviously there isn't any discussion because no one called me about the memo. So I
Well,
assumed
I
it was
thought-
acceptable.
Just to be clear, I thought when we got the memo, we were just supposed to review everything and then we'd come here and discuss. I didn't
Okay.
realize
Okay.
that we wouldn't be able to discuss.
You can't discuss the memo.
Yeah, so I
Correct.
didn't
Because,
realize
because
that.
there's points in the memo that expose the borough. Because as the governing body, it's part of the borough.
Well, the things that would be up for discussion are not about the borough necessarily, but for example, when you talked about there being the risk, certain risk for the borough related to this just and fair return clause. And that was something I wanted to
Okay.
discuss.
So we can, I have no problems. You can call me anytime and we can discuss it in more detail. Part of protecting the borough is to make sure that I'm not giving ammunition to individuals who can attack the borough and the people that.
No, and I understand that's your role.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's not
Okay.
true. I get that that's your role.
Okay.
It's just that in the memo, you were basically making a case for, there's precedent for this, for that. And so this is what the risk is for the borough. And this is why.
Mhm.
So that was clear. I'm not, that was clear. But it would just be great, but we can't talk about it. So I think that's where I feel a little like
Okay.
stuck that we can't have a conversation.
So why don't we do this? Why don't you just tell me the points of, if it's just fair return that you would like an issue with? Is there any other points that you have in the ordinance that you'd like to change?
And we're talking about elimination of provisions along those lines, just to be clear.
We're setting it to zero. I mean, I don't think we should
What
guarantee a
section are
profit
we
to
talking
landlords.
about?
It's
as a
Article
government.
1 under definitions, just and fair return.
I don't think we want
I
to do
did look at.
I'm sorry, there's two people talking at the same time. I know that you have the floor, but I keep hearing something else on the
Sorry,
side.
I started
No,
us
no,
off.
no, it's not, it's okay.
It's Article 1
Okay,
under definitions, just and fair return is there.
okay,
And when you look at other ordinances, for example, like Newark, I think they have a rate of return. I think it's set at like 5% there.
okay,
So 2.5% is lower than what another ordinance has. So
okay, so it's in your opinion that you would like to strike just and fair return as a definition.
honestly, I'd like to have a conversation about it.
Okay,
but
that's
we're not
fine.
allowed to have
But
a
I'm
conversation.
just gonna make. a
Jared, I
note
have
of
you
it.
next after Stephanie.
I'm just gonna make a note that you like it removed, okay? Okay, can you tell me about anything else in the ordinance that you'd like to remove?
So related to there being, students, for example, who, let's say there are three people in the same situation that someone reached out to me that I didn't send directly to Terry. The issue there is there are people who, let's say one of the roommates moves out and then the landlord says, okay, now you're under a new agreement. But the students are saying, no, but we've been here this whole time and we're going to get a new roommate. Why is this not a renewal? Why is this now a new agreement?
Okay,
Which I understand, and, well, 1 second. And I know that there are ordinances that use something called revolving tenancy, such that if there is someone in the unit who's been there this whole time, that's still considered like an existing tenant
They can't go to market on vacancy in that case.
because it's a revolving tenant.
We can speak about that offline because obviously we don't have all the facts. But, you know, this is really a landlord tenant issue and we can talk about it after the meeting.
But this is, what I'm saying is, this is one case, but there are other cases like that. So it's not, for example, someone could have said to me, when I came to the board and said, oh, someone bought my building, they're trying to raise my rent by 52%. They could have said to me, that's a landlord tenant.
Okay, no,
issue.
okay, but okay.
So
how
I
about-
feel
okay.
like this is an issue that's relevant.
Okay,
for
so
tenants
how
in
about we
the
speak
town.
about it offline, because it was about a specific person, and I do have the facts because I've seen the email, okay? Why don't we speak about that afterwards, offline?
But what I'm trying to say is, yes, there is a particular person who has a specific situation.
But I
But there
can
are
only
other-
give legal advice to specific situations, I can't give hypothetical.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
not
think we're
asking
asking
you
for a
to-
specific thing. We're asking that to be an
Excuse me,
example of what we're
I'm
doing.
having a
You don't have the floor,
conversation
she
with her.
does. Go ahead.
I'm not asking.
Okay, if you're gonna continue being rude about it,
I'm not
okay,
asking about
okay,
the
no,
ordinance.
it's
You're
unacceptable.
out of
It's
line. You're out of
unprofessional.
line.
You are out of line.
You're out of
You
line.
do not,
Excuse me.
it's not okay to be
You're not speaking to something that's
unprofessional to me.
germane to the floor.
You know what,
I'm not saying that we need legal
Terry,
advice.
you know what, if I cannot be respected at this meeting, I'm gonna ask, and I'm gonna leave.
I can leave
and adjourn
instead.
the meeting. I mean, this is unbelievable.
I don't think we're
If
having
you-
a fair
if
conversation
you-
here.
if
You've
ha-
moved.
If you want to continue personally attacking me, I'm not doing it on camera.
So can we take a breath?
So what
Can we,
happens-
can,
So
well, my
please don't
question was,
leave.
can we go into exec?
Please
Because
don't
I don't,
leave.
You cannot, it has not been noticed.
so can we notice
That is-
the
that's
exec?
a good
Basically can't
question
have
for-
discussion on
Not
anything.
tonight,
No, not tonight, but
but
we
to
don't,
talk about
just
that
forget
memo,
it.
is that-
No, because we didn't notice it to the public.
But if
It's
in
not on
the, at the
agenda.
next
In the
meeting, we
future.
wanted to do an
In the
executive session.
future, in
I
the
mean-
future. But, you know, my whole thing is that this is not okay, this behavior, your tone. Okay, I'm the
This is
attorney
just
for
my
the board.
tone.
No, it's
This
not.
is how I talk to
No,
everyone.
no, it's not. Okay, it's
It's not.
unprofessional. It's unprofessional.
You're
I mean,
being
I'm-
extremely unprofessional.
Oh, I'm
Adjourn.
being unprofessional.
Everybody, I'm gonna
When the
just
chair
start
has the floor, you interrupt her over and over and over again.
Okay,
All right,
I'm gonna take a step back. I'm gonna call the mayor right now, okay? Because I want to talk to her about this and I'm gonna come back. If you want to take a short recess of this meeting.
can we take a recess?
No,
I'm gonna leave.
she's
because
not feeling well.
I'm not
Yeah.
feeling well,
Yeah,
so-
please,
All right,
Diane.
let's take a 5 minute if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.